The 1 and 2 pound coins. I really like those. They were fun to use. We actually didn't try any of those. Am I putting diesel in an unleaded car? Kind of went through a little bit down memory lane for me, so that was kind of fun. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. As you can probably tell, we're missing something, or someone rather. Angela's away visiting family. I had to work, so I have the whole house to myself. So I thought I should, Angela's away visiting family. I had to work. I'm here. I have the house to myself. So I thought, what better way to spend my time than do some reaction videos. So today we're going to be checking out things that America notices in England. I kind of randomly came across this video. This is similar to a lot of stuff I've reacted to before we went to the UK. And to be honest, we've never done travel vlogs or anything like that, so we missed a lot. The person who did this video though went to the UK and was obviously way more professional about it and made this video to point out some of the differences he notices as an American. So I just wanted to react to this and give my own opinion about these topics as an American who did travel to the UK.
Number 1, traffic flows. Like a handful of other countries, Brits drive on the left side of the road. This was especially disorienting when I first arrived. I also kept looking for traffic on the wrong side when crossing the road. Parking is also less structured than in the US. You can park on either side of the road, even if you're facing the wrong side of traffic. Lastly, I
feel like I did a lot of prep work for the driving side because I knew I was going to be doing a bunch of driving. I was really worried about not being safe. So I actually read like the whole UK driving book, as well as taking like online tests for it. I never actually officially passed a full one, but I was always like one question off, so I felt pretty comfortable that way. Also, I did notice that they had the look left, look right signs in the big cities, and I definitely appreciated that at first. After being there for a few days though, you kind of acclimate to it and just kind of look the right direction, but it was still really nice that they had that.
Lastly, I thought the traffic lights were really cool. The Brits use the yellow or amber light to not only signal when the light is turning from green to red, but also from red to green. Number 2, plastic notes. I was surprised on my last trip that certain cash bills were now plastic. While Brits,
just so you guys know, the guy that did this video did it 5 years ago, so that's why it might be a little bit outdated.
While Brits use a lot of coins, which we're definitely not accustomed to in the US, I found the plastic money to be pretty awesome. I definitely would love to see the US adopt the plastic notes like so many other countries. Number 3.
Yeah, actually, that was my first time handling plastic money. We actually did a video comparing UK currency to the US, so go check that out if you haven't. It was a fun video. And he's absolutely right about the change. We hardly ever use change here. We just like put it in our pockets and then like put it in like a bucket, and then over time it fills up and then we just take it to the bank. But anyway, yeah, it was actually really kind of cool having like the 1 and 2 pound coins. I really like those. They were fun to use. But yeah, just in general, the plastic currency seems like a way better system set up. You know, it's gonna last longer. It's less likely to break down. It can be clean and sanitized, which was a huge thing during COVID, so.
Gigantic plugs. The plugs in the UK are different than the rest of Europe, and they are huge. Seriously, the plugs are gigantic compared to what we're used to in the US. Also, each outlet has an individual switch, so don't forget to turn on the switch and make sure that you have power before charging up your phone at night. Number 4.
Yeah, obviously like a while back I did a whole reaction to like the British plugs, and obviously it's for safety reasons. I know you all get that as an American. Like if I hadn't known that first, I would have been like, why is this thing so big? I mean, obviously you're running more electricity and there's a fuse in it, and for safety, I totally get it now, but yeah, I'd be like, why is this thing so massive? And then you don't want to step on it.
Interesting foods. It was really fun being in the UK for the holidays. The Brits have some really interesting foods like mince pies, Christmas pudding, and Scotch eggs. What's interesting is that they are not often what they are named. For example, mince pies have something called mince meat, but don't actually contain meat. Christmas pudding is not really what we Americans would call a pudding, and Scotch eggs are, well, those are eggs, but they're surrounded by meat, but I don't think they have anything to do with Scotch. Also, there's a whole host of other foods that just have weird names, and to an American, maybe slightly inappropriate.
We actually didn't try any of those foods. I know we tried like Yorkshire pudding, fish and chips, haggis. We actually did try haggis. The one thing I really do like though is, yeah, like the food is pretty different, and it was definitely fun to try out. So
Number 5, gas stations. Not only is gas, or petrol as the Brits call it, really expensive, but I found that they use the green handle to represent regular unleaded gas. In the US, we typically use the green handles to designate diesel. So if you're filling up your tank in the UK, make sure you read the labels carefully at the pump.
Yeah, I don't know. I absolutely noticed that the first time, and I don't know if a lot of British people know. We have it reversed because, you know, of course we do everything backwards. Our green is diesel and black is unleaded gas petrol. So going over there and it being green was like, am I putting diesel in a petrol car? But no, it was all good. Just the other day I went to a BP over here, probably the first time since I've like driven, because we don't have many of them over here, at least not in the Midwest. And they have the green is petrol and black is diesel. And I went to go put gas in my car. I'm like, am I putting diesel in my car? But no, it was just because it's a British owned company, so they just keep it the same over here.
Number 6, mobile payments everywhere. I was shocked at how prevalent mobile payments were in the UK. I would say that 90% of transactions could be made with Apple Pay, which was super convenient since I didn't have to deal with the whole chip and signature process. Since most of the world is using chip and PIN, signatures are typically not required when paying for products, unless you're using an American credit card, since most of our cards don't support the technology. Though using mobile payments allowed me to pay without any complication. Also, it worked on the London Tube, which was a nice bonus. Number 7.
Yeah, so that's obviously again outdated video. I definitely noticed like we're starting to use a lot more tap to pay, and that definitely came in handy over there. Now granted, it depends on the credit card, because like a lot of the buses and trains didn't seem like they want to take American Express. We had a few credit cards, so there were times that we would kind of rotate them out, like depending on what we were doing, we would use a different credit card for it. I feel like over here though in the US we are starting to get to that point. I see a lot more people using like their smartphones or watches. Tap to pay is definitely huge over here, but it is definitely more prevalent still over there.
Military time is commonplace. While we typically don't use military time in the US, you'll notice that most Brits will use it in their daily lives. I noticed that Fiona's phone in the US was set up with military time, but when I saw that most other phones in the UK used it too, I realized it was a normal thing. Number 8.
I knew about that before we went on the trip, so it wasn't a big shock to me.
Tuna and corn sandwiches. Okay, so I love both of these things, but I never thought of putting them together. When we stopped at a Mark and Spencer's market to pick up a quick lunch, I noticed they had a bunch of unique seafood options, like tuna and corn.
Jeez guys, let me know in the comments if that price has changed, because that actually seems like a really good price.
Prawn and salmon sandwiches. I opted for the tuna and corn, and I have to say, it was delicious. Number 9.
Yeah, that was one thing. Going into the grocery stores over there, like the sandwich options are definitely very different. I know one time Angela had tuna on a baked potato, and that was something I never like thought of combining, but Angela said it was really good, so.
Tons of accents and dialects. Great Britain is just over half the size of California, but even within such a small country, there is such a variety of dialects and accents. I personally found the accents from Scotland and Wales to be the most difficult to understand as an American, but even some of the northern accents were challenging. Still, I think it's so interesting that a country so small can retain so much variation in the language.
So yeah, on the accent thing, I think some people have actually asked us this. Since we mostly stayed in Edinburgh and Scotland, I like heard the Scottish accent, but I didn't hear like any that I couldn't really understand. And then in Wales, we were only there for like a day, and we spent most of the time driving, so I didn't really get to talk with too many. Which looking back, yeah, I probably should have like gone out my way to like just to talk with some of the Welsh people, just to be able to hear them. We did meet a couple Welsh people, but again, like I didn't have any problems understanding them. But yeah, I absolutely agree. This was a great video that he put together. Like I said, we just weren't professional enough and didn't plan it out, so we didn't have our own to do. One thing I really like by doing these type of videos is just I really do like seeing the cultural differences between countries, even if it is like minor things. Like I know a lot of people asked like, why are you filming like in a grocery store? It was because yeah, it is just food and it's very similar, but it was still different. You know, like when you guys refrigerate potatoes, it was like, oh, okay, like why? When, you know, the eggs aren't refrigerated, it's like, oh, okay, this is different. There's just so many differences, which is good. It's good to have differences, but it's just fun to go explore and try out those differences. No matter how mundane they seem, especially if you're from that area, you're like, it's just a grocery store, man. But it's different. Anyway, guys, I know it's kind of a long rant, but that was the video. Kind of went through a little bit down memory lane for me, so that was kind of fun. What do you think about the trip we went to last year? Anyway, guys, if you are new to the channel and you haven't checked out those videos, those are up on our YouTube page about 6 months ago. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please be safe, take care, and look after one another.